Hey, what's up, everybody? Travis from Dreams and Day Jobs, where we talk about dreams and day jobs and everything in between. Like I said, I'm one of your hosts, Travis, with my guy right here.
What's up, Jeff? You already know.
Yes, man, yes. So, we're here for the 28th week in a row. Yeah. So that's almost half a year of filming.
More than half a year.
More than half a year,
26
bro.
is half.
It really ties into what we're going to talk about today, which is systems of success. You don't find anybody who's successful who does not operate off systems, okay? And one of the main points we'll break down, what are those systems of success? We'll break down one of the most important parts of that system of success, in my opinion, and then anything extra that we go after, it's going to be a good one, man, because this is, if not probably one of the most important parts to your journey when it comes to being successful. I believe so. So, systems of success, right? Okay, right? When you hear that, what do you think of? Like, first thing in your mind, when you hear systems of success, what does that make you think of?
It just makes me think of like habits, routine, things that like we've talked about before. And immediately just thinking like what it takes to stay consistent at those routines to be successful, because you could argue that, like, depending on how you define success, like you can argue, like, for real, no joke, when you just said that, in my head I was like, well, like, are we successful? Which is interesting to think about. Like, are we successful?
And why'd that come to your mind?
It just made me think, like, how do we define success? So, like, if somebody watched this and heard you say that, like, they'd be like, all right, well, are these guys successful? And then I just ask myself, like, man, like, am I successful?
Yeah.
Well, then it's kind of like, well, how do I define success? So you could think like, maybe this is a long-winded answer for what you just said, but I'm just saying that's what made me think. So it's like, are we successful in the sense that, like, are we healthy? Do we have a job? Are our bills paid? Are we doing this and that? So it's like, so those systems of success doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be like millionaire CEOs of like a, Fortune 500 company, but successful in the sense that, like, we're on an upward trajectory on the day to day and we have systems that make us successful on the daily. So it's like, is success subjective? Is it not? How do you define success? And what are those habits that, like, keep you successful? I guess.
Dude, great way to
But that's what went through my head when you said that. It's like, well, damn, are we successful? Like, you say that 6 successful steps or whatever.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, well, are we? Like,
True.
Would somebody look at us and be like, oh, they're successful?
Yeah.
They're not millionaires.
Yeah.
But they're healthy. They have a roof over their head. Their bills are paid. They're pursuing goals. So, like, are they successful in a sense?
True.
You know what I mean?
It is, it comes down to what you define as success. So the point of this and bringing up systems of success is because it's going to give a clearer vision to how I'm going to break it down, and you're going to break it down a different way, and we're going to tie it all together into a masterpiece for you guys. But, it comes down to what your level of success is for you, your ideal successful life. That's individual for some people. Some people just want to, get a food truck. And success is something that, in my opinion, is always growing. So
I don't mean to smirk. That was just like a random thing to say. Some people just want to get a food truck.
Because it made me think of, like, when you said somebody like a millionaire, if they're, are they successful? Well, they're not Fortune 500. Well, to someone, that's their level of success, but to another person,
$50K a year with the food truck,
it's completely fine. Their level. So your level of success is different, but the systems are the same. Whichever path you pick, the same system is going to apply. You're going to need a schedule. This is how I broke it down today.
Did you say 6? Did you say
no?
Steps?
I just said there's some steps. There's some steps. There's some steps, but I like to hone in on the first one. So treat it like you're building a house, right? You don't come in and put the walls up, put the roof up. No, what's the very first thing you do when you construct a home is you prepare the ground for the foundation. Everything lays on that foundation. So what is your foundation? What I said was my foundation is God. So everything from that is laying on top of that foundation of God. I run my problems through him. I run my success through him. I'm guided through him, but that's my foundation, right? So that's how you play it. So that's my foundation. And then from there, I go to the body. You know, I kind of go, yeah, because my relationship with God starts with reading, journaling, praying, right? And then the next is your body, my fitness, what I eat, right? And then the next thing is that schedule of your life. And this is isolating, like, you know, we're not talking about like, you know, family time and all that stuff, because I think that's like obviously very important. I don't like to throw it on the same schedule as that in a sense, because it's like, you know, some people do, but it's just separate. We're talking about like building your life, you know, building your house, your life, what you define as success. Maybe that is a family. So maybe you would have that on there, but it is a schedule. So now you've got this schedule rolling, and then with that schedule, you track it. You see where you're slacking. You see where you need to edit, you need to add, you need to subtract, or whatever you got to do to get to where you're going. But you're not going to get there without a foundation of some sort. And you're not going to get there without a schedule and some tracking and some changing and some editing. It's a constant progression. You know, you're going up the hill. That means you always got to hit the gas, you know, so there's always steps to it. So that's why it's such a great topic to bring up, like success and that whole, and I love how you took it there. Like, what is your idea of success? You know, because everybody's is different, you know? So when it comes to your systems, right? I think one of the easiest parts of it is that foundation part, because that right there takes thinking, and then it takes growing. It's kind of like a very huge success, in my opinion, once you get your foundation right. Because then everything else can flow from it. And you're applying that same principle of taking the time to think, to learn, and then to act. And you're repeating the same thing.
Yeah, and it's interesting, I think, like when you say your foundation is like your relationship with God. So
yeah,
in my mind, I take that as like, okay, so if you don't get yourself right with God every day,
yeah,
nothing else seems to like line up, or you don't feel right about like for me, it's different. Like,
yeah,
you could argue that probably it should be, but like that's like my foundation is not that. So like in my mind, I think to myself like, all right, so go back to my foundation, dude, is like my fitness. Like, did I stay on the diet? Did I sleep enough? Did I work out today?
yeah.
That honestly, dude, everything. So it's just interesting to talk about what everyone's foundation is. Like,
Yeah.
is it subjective? What should somebody's foundation consist of? What does that even mean? Like, what is the importance of having a foundation? Because does it set up the rest of your day? So like for me,
I like that.
like everything else, everything revolves around like if I look back on like a successful day, or if I had a good day or feel accomplished, it always goes back to I worked out and I hit my macros for the day. So it's just interesting, like how that is the foundation. However, I don't think it's important. Like, so like to go even deeper with it, like with that being said, while it is important and it is the foundation, I think it's important to not like get stuck, which is something I kind of deal with too. Like sometimes I feel like I get stuck there, that like
Get stuck with that?
meaning like all I focus on is like, you know, to go back to like the 4 pillars of like the good life that like Tai Lopez talks about. So it's like, you know, the guy, he talks about the guy who's a billionaire but is out of shape, or he's sick and can't get out of bed. And they're the guy who lives in the gym and he's ripped, but he's got no social life, and he's broke. He's barely got any money. He can't pay his bills. And then you got the guy who maybe like, you know, work, but he has no social life and he doesn't have any romance in his life. So it's like you don't want to like get stuck in, that's what I mean when I say like, so it's like, okay, you have a relationship with God, great, but like still being able to like allow that to like don't get it's there yours is different because you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no,
Like
I get
can't
it.
I like while fitness is my foundation,
Yeah,
I can't revolve my entire life around it because
yeah,
I won't achieve these other things that I need to achieve. I can't just live in the one realm of fitness, even though it's really important to me. I
yeah,
need to start focusing more on money. I need to start focusing more on going out and being social. I need to start focusing more on all these pillars to balance out
exactly.
this life that I'm trying to live. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, if your foundation is like your relationship with God, cool.
Hmm.
But like, would you still achieve the things you want to achieve if like you just spend all your time praying without focusing on these other things?
Well, that's the thing. It's not a,
That's all I'm trying to say.
it's not a, of course, yes, answer your question. Yes, you will. Because your relationship with God comes with everything.
That's why I said it's different. That's why that's
It's
why mine's
very
different.
different
Yeah, it's
because at the
different.
end of the day, you're not doing no fitness with no breath, with no
Exactly.
health.
Yeah,
And if
that's
that
exactly what I
basically,
said.
if anything carnal gets taken away from you, you will immediately start jumping to the spiritual or you will give up and die. But your relationship with God comes with everything. That's the best part. So my foundation, that's why it's so important it's so smart it goes like, it's like house, man, you know? So my foundation is God, comes with God, man. God teaches me about wisdom. God teaches me about money. God teaches me about relationships. God teaches me about business. God teaches me about how to interact with people. There's not one lesson left out. It's just, are you going to take the time to learn those lessons? And this is stuff where, man, listen, I read my schedule now is my 3 daily readers in my journal. It takes me not even 30 minutes, you know, praying. It doesn't take me very long, but my whole life is surrounded by God and with God and through God. Whether I'm at Colwell and I'm doing something, my foundation is still locked in with God's foundation, because if it weren't, well, then it would just be it would be up to me. And I don't know if I wouldn't want that for myself because what would I would have to learn from experience. I would have to learn from other people. Listen, I'm down from learning from other people, but my biggest teacher is God. And no one's going to give me a better lesson. You know what I'm saying? So it just enhances everything in life, man. That's the best part about it. Like there's nothing that I feel like I can't go do. Like there's nothing. I don't like look at things and like, yeah, it might be a challenge or something, but I'm not like thinking like, man, I can't do that. I'm like, nah, man, God told me be bold and courageous. I'm always with you. There's my boost. There's my confidence. There's my everything to approach anything, and that's how it works. And it's funny you brought that up about fitness because I thought about this morning. I was listening to some video and they said, you're talking about, things getting taken away, TikTok getting taken away. Say the gym got taken away from you. Say your health got taken away from you. What are you going to be left with? Like really, if you were left with nothing else but your mind, where are you going from there now?
Yeah,
Now it's going to be on how powerful is your mind? What is your mind rooted in? That's going to bring you right to your root of who you are. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm sorry, bro. Like from how I see it, it's like me without God is not anything, bro. There's nothing, bro. I'll just like basically go after everything that basically feels good to my flesh. That's like literally that's the default.
Okay, so what would you say to somebody who was like, all right, dude, like okay, like I hear you, like you say your foundation is like God first, but like,
Yeah.
Maybe that person isn't at that point and it's like, okay, well, like maybe someone's so somebody hears you say that and they're like, all right, dude, like I hear you, but like, I'm not there yet. Or like, I can't really relate in that sense. Like what's like, what's my foundation then? If I don't have a relationship with God, like you say, your foundation is like, what should I do? Or like, where should I start for a foundation? Like, or like what, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
For somebody who is not in your position and has that thought like that,
Yeah.
and maybe is curious about it or is like, okay, dude, well, I don't have a relationship with God. So like for the time being, like, where do I get my foundation from? Or like,
that's going to be truly on you, man. Like you got to do your homework on you. You got to literally take time and look at yourself and say, who am I? Like give yourself time. like literally set, bro, I've done this I've been a Christian for so long, but I've been an interesting one, bro, at that. You know, a lot of people I meet are like all of a sudden changed by God and then they believe by God. Bro, I was born again. I became a Christian basically saying, so if people don't understand what being a Christian is or being born again, it's not that complicated, man. All it is you are accepting Jesus for the sins of the world. So you know, you learn about Jesus, you learn about how he's the Son of God, you learn about all these things, and then you accept it with your mouth. You'd be like, yeah, I believe that. Jesus is my Lord. Yep. My Savior. Yep, I got it. Yep, that's it. Simple as that, man. You're born again, right? Just there and then. All you got to do is say it with your mouth. That's all the Bible says. It says, is if you believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, you are born again. Simple as that. There's no thing you got to do. You don't got to kneel and bow 1,000 times. You don't got to fast for 30 days. None of that, bro. Don't complicate it. It's all out of your mouth. Boom. So you're born again. I did that as a 12-year-old, guys. I lived my whole life. I'm 34 years old. I lived my whole life. I did my dirt. I did my thing. I went crazy. I kind of, you know, I never really fell far out the line, but I wavered outside the lines plenty of times, bro, crossing one foot in, 1 foot out for plenty amount of time. And I'm not saying I'm perfect by no means right now, but I'm a lot different than I was when I was young, right? So through that whole craziness, that's where I would check myself and see like really where I'm at. And I would always come back to, I need a stronger foundation in God. And what that really meant was I need to spend more time learning who God is, reading his word, meditating on it, applying it to my life. Really doing self-work. Same way if you were going to do fitness. If you're going to take fitness seriously, you're going to get a workout schedule. You're going to eat right. You're going to buy some more weights. You're going to learn about exercising. It's the same thing, bro. It's a scientific method with anything. So if you're going to you're going to try to find out what your foundation is, I'll give you the Bible for an answer right here. It says, where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. Wherever you got all your eggs and marbles and everything in, you know that. When I think of that, I think of my relationship with God, bro. That's what my brain goes to. There's nothing else I would trade for that. Nothing. Not money, nothing, bro. Nothing. So that right there tells you right there, that's where your heart is. That's your foundation. Ultimately, that's your God. And that's where it gets dangerous, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And just in general, you know, when God's not your foundation, you're only left with other things. Things. Not anything supernatural. Not anything out of this world. Carnal things. I like my shirts, my clothes. I'm big into fashion. Love clothes. Hey, materials that's your God. That's what you serve. That's where your heart is. That's where your treasure is. There it is. You know? So the problem is when you get to those deep, when those hard moments in your life that only you're going through, that are in your head, that are in your heart, no one else is feeling them, no one else can do them, and you need an answer, you need guidance. Well, you can't talk to a Gucci shirt. You know what I'm saying? It gets funny like that. So, you know, if you're trying to look for a foundation, you just do the science on yourself, you know, really look at yourself and analyze yourself and break it down, you know, and see where it is and say, like, are you good with that or are you not good with that? And if you're not good with that, then you change it.
It's funny how we turn to God like when we're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It goes to show you that like your true nature.
Even
wants
if like,
God.
yeah, like
It does.
I don't know.
Why do people say, oh, Jesus Christ?
I don't know.
Out of all the horrible people in history, why not say Adolf Hitler? Why would you use Jesus Christ's name as a curse?
Question. Why?
Why? Well, it says it in so it says, I'm chopping up the scripture, but it basically said, don't be mad that the world hates you. It first hated me. And that was Jesus saying that. The world hates Jesus. If you can't tell, if they don't believe, they hate Jesus. Why is it, I don't even like saying this. Why is it GD? I don't like saying that, bro.
Why is it what?
God.
Oh,
God.
okay, got it.
You know,
Yeah,
why do you say that?
Yeah.
Why do you damn God? Damning something is condemning something, damning it. You know, this tree is damned.
Never hear you say that. And
Yeah,
I never hear you say Jesus Christ
I don't say it, but I'm not perfect, bro. I swear, bro. I swear.
No, but you don't ever,
drop
I don't ever hear you
F-bombs
say
here and
Jesus
there,
Christ.
you know, like
I say Jesus
like,
Christ.
I'm corrected with my tongue in the sense I'm not on camera talking crazy, but like, yo, I have my moments, guys, you know, like I'm still being worked on. I'm a work in progress, but I got a lot better control of my tongue. I don't be swearing like just loosely like that. I don't be out in public just cursing. I don't do that. But I'm not perfect, guys. Me and my wife mess around and be talking. Me and you be talking. We be swearing sometimes. Not a good thing. I'm not proud of it, but it happens. But you know, back to what the heck? What I was just saying, bro. I don't know why I just lost my thought talking about swearing for a second.
Damn, why people?
Yeah. Why are they using Jesus Christ as a curse word? That's interesting to me, bro. That's very interesting. You know, that's interesting. And you know, I don't know. I just think if you really don't like your foundation, you check it, just like anything in life, you know, like you're working on your biceps. You're like, I'm small, man. I need more curls. You start doing more curls, right? Well, if you want a tighter relationship with God, then you know, start reading, get a daily reader, start going to church, meet some people, you know, go online, watch some YouTube videos, watch some sermons, you know, like, there's so many ways, you know.
So to go back to the success thing, like,
Yeah,
what do you think?
steps to
So,
success.
what do you think? Like, first off, like, what do you think? Even are you successful? And why are you? Why do you think? Why would you say you're successful? And what do you think would make somebody successful?
Yeah, I would say I'm successful because the things I say that I'm going to do, I do them. I'm successful because if I set a plan, I go and attack that plan until it's attacked, until I accomplish it. And it's a long-term game. You know, that's how I play it, you know. That's my level of success. You get an idea, you put together a plan on how to do it, you execute the plan. Success.
It's so subjective too, because like you could, I mean, let's say you were like, if you were a drug addict and like you woke up and your plan was to go find money and get drugs and take drugs, like were you successful?
No, you were unsuccessful because success correlates to good. There's no bad success. No, that'd be a failure. You'd be a failure. Like
so that's where it gets interesting. So that's where it gets interesting. So like what? Okay, so that's where it gets interesting. So like what determines somebody successful? And I'm only playing devil's advocate just to make it an interesting. It makes it an interesting conversation.
I think it's smart.
It makes it an interesting conversation because based on what you just said,
yeah,
you're successful because you set out a plan and you attacked the plan.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if I'm a drug addict or a sex addict or whatever addict,
you have a plan,
and I set up a plan for the day, and I achieve that, am I successful?
No, you're a failure.
That's what I'm trying to say. So like, what would you say? Determines somebody successful? Well,
if you want to say it like that,
and I don't even necessarily know if I have the answer. I'm just curious to see what you say.
I think success applies to something positive. You know, it's not, if it's negative, it's a failure, you know, because the opposite of success is failing, right? So in normal, you know, humans know if you're a drug addict, a sex addict, someone who, you know, all these deadly sins, you're not successful. You know, you're not, you know, if that's your life and it revolves around all those deadly sins, you're not successful. It's a failure.
Yeah, just to be clear, I agree with you.
No. And I'm just answering.
For the sake of conversation.
I think it's great, bro. I think that's a failure. I think a success is obviously something that's positive, you know, something that you were actually meant here to do, you know, that's going to make you sacrifice. That's going to make you stay disciplined. That's going to have an end result that's going to be beneficial to your life, you know, like, yes, you could be a calculated thief, you know, and you steal millions of dollars, but you're still a thief. There's nothing positive correlated with the word thief.
Would you say that everybody?
Good thief.
But would you say that like I would say that most people, it's interesting to think about. When we say somebody's successful, the first thing we think about is money.
Yeah. I think so too. And
but if you're a millionaire and let's say you're financially free, but you're obese, are you successful?
Yeah. See, and
are you?
And that would be successful in his finances. Yes. Successful in his health? No. And that's how you could break yourself down. It's a great way to break yourself down. But, I'm successful over here, but I'm not successful over here, But overall, it's like, listen, I'm not going to sit here and call myself a failure. That ain't happening.
No, hell no.
Because for one, I'm not. If I was, would I say it? I would hope. But here's the good twist. If I was a failure and I was able to sit on this camera and tell you I'm a failure, in my opinion, I would be now successful, because that's self-awareness. That goes back to finding that foundation. That's going back to like being able to tell yourself the hard things, or have somebody else tell you something hard and believe it and acknowledge it. And now it start to change, Now I think that was a step towards success, but that was a success, cause someone coming from being a drug addict to all of a sudden realizing that they're a drug addict and a failure and admitting that takes immense amount of success.
Yeah, it's just interesting to think about, because like when you asked me in the beginning, you said when success, like what did you think about? The first thing I thought about was like, okay, here we are talking about success, but in my head I was like, well, are we successful? And the first thing I thought is about how much money do we make?
Yeah.
So it's like, but then it's like, all right, dude, well, like maybe like we're not like financially successful, but are our bills paid? So are we, you know what I mean? Are we in shape? Are we overweight? No. Are we healthy? Yeah. So like,
bills,
are you taking care of, you know what I mean? So it's like, so then it's, so it's like, I guess like you are
a success. It's just now you have new goals. You have a new finance goal. Now you're working on that new finance goal. When you hit it, you'll be successful.
Okay. So foundation. So like that, so like, okay. So like, is there anything expanding after that? Like, in terms of steps of success.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so you got your foundation. Okay. So like where are you going to go after that? Like,
then it would be self-analyzing yourself, like
you talked about that, kind of like figuring out like
who you are.
Yeah.
What you like, what you're blessed with, where you're going to go, how you're going to go about it, then it's the plan. So you got the plan. Now it's executing the plan. Then it's tracking the plan. So you can make modifications and you could be better and make new goals. It's this nice little cycle, but I feel like the foundation helps you find who you are, whether, that's whatever your foundation is, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand people are atheists, people don't believe in God, people have other things in your mind. But I think whatever you choose for your foundation, it will show you who you are. It'll show you where your treasure is, that it'll show you where you have a lot invested and who you really are, I think so. And then a lot of it stems from that, the planning and the executing.
Well, it makes sense because you could tell, you could kind of tell if you're talking about foundation and like figuring out who you are, like you can kind of see, you could see maybe where people are rooted and who they're like. If somebody walks up and they're yoked or in super good shape, you could probably tell like where where most of their focus and discipline is.
Definitely.
Whereas somebody who walks up kind of sloppy or all strung out, you could kind of tell maybe that their foundation is in getting high and fucking off or screwing off. And based on maybe how somebody acts, their character or their speech and how they talk, you could be like, okay, this person has a good relationship with God. That's probably, you know what I mean? So it's kind of cool. You could kind of tell.
Good point, bro. You're bringing up a lot.
Yeah, like you can kind of tell.
A lot of good points, bro.
Well, it's based off just what you said. Like,
yeah, I know, but they're such nice spin-offs and like in depth to like really pull the meat off the bones, bro. Just the different aspect of it, because I just think it's cool how success is different to everybody. And being able to, make a judgment off somebody, not necessarily like a negative judgment, but like you said, you see someone fit and you're like, well, I can see where you definitely put a lot of time into the gym, because I know what it takes to get like that. And it ain't no walk in the park. You definitely have some systems in play and some restrictions to yourself, and you're living a certain lifestyle. Same with somebody who's, massively successful, in the sense of like wealth, money and stuff. You're like, okay, you got some different systems in the play, but you could also see these negative things to someone, where you're like, hey, maybe you're spending a lot more time on that opposed to this, and that's why you're here.
Yeah.
It's like we're the sum of like what we continue to do,
And the success thing is it's funny to think about, man, because you could have the dude who's like, maybe you got money in the bank, you got a good job and this and that, but like you come home and you're just like a misery to be around and you're just like depressed or whatever. And then maybe you got a guy who like is in like a small studio apartment, and maybe he's got like this job where it's just like a labor job, or maybe he's not doing much, but he's just like, and he's just enjoying himself, and that's all he needs. So it's like, he's like, he knows what he doesn't need to go back to the desire quote. Desire is also, you know what I mean? So it's like you have the guy, so maybe you have the guy who's making 30 grand a year at his, when he comes home, works 9 to 5 and he's happy and he's got, you know what I mean? It's just like, is that guy successful? If he wakes up and he's like in a good mood and he's like thankful and he's just like all right with himself, versus the guy who maybe he's driving the nice whip and is making a ton of money, but he's just like, stressed and not fulfilled. And so it's like, who is successful?
See, you notice how you're bringing up points that separate the spiritual from the physical? Because happiness and joy inside is not coming from any of these things. You could have the person with the money who's miserable, and you have the person with no money who's miserable. So obviously the money is not the fact.
Funny is how it, like, most people intrinsically still go after that type of shit. Of course,
I think we do, because we ultimately want to be the best person we can be. Whether that's making the 30K and, on the kickball teams and enjoying cookouts on the weekends and football. Yeah, like if that's your thing, then that's your thing. But that takes a level of self-awareness that ties back, in my opinion, to your spiritual foundation. Because I mean, if you've, it literally says this, it says, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his soul?
The Bible says that?
So it tells you can make all the money you want, but if you lose your soul, what's the point? And people say, well, how do you lose your soul? Well, good question. Because that would be the question I ask. Like, what do you mean? So he profited the world, but in return, he loses his soul. You could break your soul down. It's not your spirit. It's your mind, your will, and your emotions, So it's,
to me, when you say that, I think about having like that devil on your shoulder that's telling you to make all those bad choices.
Yeah.
Your soul. Like, maybe that's wrong, but that's what I think about when you say that.
That would be a part of losing your soul. That would be the part of losing your soul. You got all these things, you profit all these things, because if you think God doesn't want you to prosper and if he's got a plan for you to do major things, bro, like that's a big thing. And also we got to disassociate how we think of like major things, like maybe God wants you to reach millions of people. Maybe God only wants you to reach these 17. Maybe God doesn't even want you involved with people, but he wants you to write this book that will move a whole bunch of people. There's so many ways about it where it's like, that's why it's like, I said it today. It was just like, like your deepest passions, your deepest desires, God has placed in your heart already. He gave them to you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Those positive things, not those negative things. Like you like, little freaky. He ain't giving you that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't giving you that. The devil is a copyright. Like he twists things, like God created sex and love and fornication between a man and his wife. The devil has prostitutes. The devil has people paying for sex. The devil has people selling kids for sex. That's his perverted twist of sex. He twists everything. So everything is a counterfeit. So it's like you will lose your soul dealing with the counterfeit. That's exactly what it is. I'm not God. You think God don't want you to prosper? It says that. That's his goal for you in life. It is for you to live abundant.
I agree, but it's also interesting to think about. We talk about. I wanted to say this before. When you talk about like the dude who like is on the kickball team and is making 30K a year and is on, and he's just happy. It's like, does that guy have, hear me out now, does that guy have a wife and some sort of love and romance in his life?
Yeah, he does.
Yes, because I would argue that if he didn't, I think intrinsically, men, we want to go after the job, the car, the money, the status, the material shit, because we know that it will bring love. Like, so I heard Ty Lopez says this. He said that, and it makes perfect sense. Scientists, I guess he said that scientists say that men subconsciously want to get rich because they know it will improve their love life.
Yeah.
So it makes you think,
instinct, you know,
yeah,
the biggest bird wins.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it makes you think that, like I could think of a couple people off the top of my head, one in particular,
Yeah.
that a person I know, a dude I know, decent job, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
You know, lives in Brantford, you know, doesn't make a ton of money, but he's a dad.
Mhm.
Seems like he has a blast doing it.
Yeah.
You know, multiple kids, but he has a wife, he has love in his life. So like, it just makes you think that, like, if the dudes that like maybe are financially maybe not up here, are they happy when it just makes you think, are they happy still when they don't have love in their life? Or is that one aspect make them feel,
Complete.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if would it's like, would not, maybe not just me, but would a man still be content making average pay, working an average job, average schedule? Would he be content and happy if he was able to have that love and romance and sense of family in his life? Or if he didn't, would he strive to get more because he feels like it would bring that aspect into his life? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. It makes perfect
Does
sense.
that, like,
No,
I don't know, like, I feel like hopefully it didn't sound.
It makes perfect
like
sense. And
you know?
you can't really answer it because it's like everybody's situation is going to be so different, you know?
Like, it's like, why do we go after the things that we want to go after?
I believe it comes from God, bro. The stuff that I'm pursuing right now is coming from God. Like it's the gifts that he's given me, the stuff that I'm good at. I'm no shock to like where I'm at is because I'm where I put myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it just made me think about the people who we say successful or financially successful. It's like, why do they, it's like, for what reason at the end? Like, why do they want the nice car? Why do they want to be ripped? Why do they want the watch? Why do they want to post on Instagram? All for what?
You got to be real with yourself.
You know what I mean?
Bro.
Oh, what do you really want in the end?
You got to be real with yourself,
and
bro.
to me, that's sexual women. You know what I mean?
It
like,
could be, like I want the ripped body because I know what it takes to do it. I want to disassociate myself from sugar and the pleasure from that. So I know what it's going to take. And it just like, it's not cause like I want to look good for chicks. I'm married. I don't give a damn about that. Right. Second thing is, money and like cars and clothes. I love clothes. Yeah. I love fast looking cars. I just like them. I think they look cool. But I'm not going to lie and say they're not status symbols. You're not going to tell me that like you just genuinely love these things so much that you just want them without the fact of knowing that when you pull up in a Ferrari. Let's be real. Yeah. I'm not saying, and maybe that's a prideful thing. And it definitely, I mean, in a sense it is, but I think that's what they were made for. Like, it's all about how you use it, like there's nothing wrong with being proud of yourself.
Of course.
Right? Of accomplishing those things. But that's the teeter totter of, are you proud of yourself? And now is that what it was all for? Cause that's not my end goal. I don't want the Ferrari, the clothes. That's not my end goal. That's not even close to my end goal. That's a product of my success schedule. That's it. Yeah. That's it. It's a product of it.
Well, I think it's contextual. Like for you've already got that love, romance, family aspect.
Yeah.
Checked off.
Exactly.
So for you, I think it's more so you want, which I think is great. And me too. It's like, I think you want to you just want to be able to, before you leave this earth, feel that you reached your full potential.
Yeah. Yeah. I want God to be like, yeah, we did what I put you here to accomplish.
Yeah,
Like, I'm well done. Well done. That's all I'm looking for is a well done from the big man upstairs, bro. And I know only I know that, how that's going to be done. Unless he tells somebody else to come and tell me. But, and that's what you do for yourself. So if that's your climb and that's what you're being guided to do, bro, hats off to you, bro. I can tell you nothing, like, yeah, like if you heard it, you heard it first, bro. Go for it, bro. You know what to do.
Funny, maybe I just thought of that old Gary Vee clip. Like, there was like, he was like, what kind of car, to the guy in the audience, what kind of car do you drive? He's like, BMW. He was like, let me ask you. He was like, do you really enjoy paying that much a month for that BMW? Or do you do you really love like how the engine's built and like or do you just like what you think other people think of you when they see you pull up in the BMW?
That's the magic question.
And the guy was like, no, I like the car, when and Gary was like, all right, like.
And he could. But I think you'd have to acknowledge the fact that, like, if you're not a car enthusiast, there has to be some element of, dude, I'm proud of myself that I was able to get this. And I love rolling up to the restaurant in this fly whip doing valet. I love it, man. And my goal is to inspire other people to do what I did because I got there not by just chance, and it's all about how you use it, because I watch these people who I watch the comments on some of these people that I follow who are wealthy YouTubers and they're like, dude just wants to flex. And I'm like, it's all perception, man. Like, if that's how you perceive it, you're going to get what you get out of it. So don't be mad that you got nothing out of this video. Cause I watched that same video and I laughed at the moments when he was like, you can't buy this. You got too many problems in your life. You ain't going to be able to handle this. The devil's not playing with you, man. This guy's already got his life messed up. I laughed cause I agreed. I was like, yes, dude, he gets it. Exactly. Yeah. You get what you get out of it. Like, you could look at the billionaire and be envious. I doubt that if that's your goal to be in that level, that stuff, that feeling ain't getting you there, bro. You need to learn to be inspired and aspire to be better, and learn from these people that are, nice enough to even take the time to make the video to show you what they don't even need to show you. You'll see Warren Buffett going out there making videos for you, so hey, that's how I see it. I love it, bro. I love it. I think it's all about what you get out of it, bro. And your success schedule is made whether you like it or not. That's the best part. That was one of my other points. And I wish I put that in my video, but if you choose not to make a schedule, you will make a failure schedule, right? If you're not growing, what are you doing? Shoot, you're not living. You're not living, bro. You're just doing it by chance. And I've lived my life like that, bro. And I know it's a failure lifestyle, bro. It's a failure lifestyle. No vision, no direction, no really end point. Doing things just because they're like, well, I'll choose this. Man, I wish I had more focus in college, bro. I wish I took that stuff more serious, bro. I didn't. I was in football, I was playing football. I'm like, yeah, I'll get a business marketing degree. Not about no business marketing, bro. I don't know what the heck that was. I was just like, it's business and it'll go further. Thank God I picked it because that's like what I do, but it's still just
marketing. I got to get back on my content, bro. I don't know what's stopping me. Like, this is like basically the only content I'm doing right now. It's like coming on here. Like, I just got to get back on posting. Like,
yeah.
You
just got to get out there, bro. Raw action always takes it, bro. Take that camera to the gym, bro, and post the video at the gym, bro. Change up your location and give yourself a new boost energy,
That's
Go
what
to the
it
store.
is. It's just like change
one at the store.
Yeah, changing up like
you'll feel freaking
definitely.
great after you do it, bro.
I always do, man. When I always feel good when I start posting. Like, I always do.
Yeah, it's like
because it makes me feel like I'm taking action. Yeah,
you are, bro.
Yeah, because I am.
You definitely are, bro. I think it's also to the same thing. Like, I'm posting on my real estate stuff too, but I've kind of switched up my plan where I'm really analyzing like my process. my schedule in a sense, you know. So I'm getting my processes all together and I'm marketing at the same time. But I want to make sure with any client that I'm servicing in the future that I have a master plan. And I got great plans now. I could service you on the selling side and buying side, guys. Hit me up. You know, like I can service you on that side, but you can always be better. I'm new in this, so there's a ton for me to learn. And you know, so when you get the process feeling better, it's even easier to post. It's even better. It's like more, you just want more because like now you got the confidence of the process because, you know, somebody asks you about it. Yeah, we go about this. We do this. We sign you up here. We get you here. We get you here. And this is the steps you go through. You want me to send this to your email? You want it? I can send it to your email.
Oh, I thought you were just asking me. I was like, yo, what you get? Somebody,
It's a sale. That's the sale right there.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, people want to buy from people that they trust and understand that they know what they're talking about. You know, because if you don't know more than them, I doubt they'll work with you.
True.
You know, if you're on the level, you know, yeah, dude, success has freaking steps, bro. It's got steps. I wanted to stop saying bro. I watching episodes. I'm like, man, I said bro like 80 times.
You said man.
Yeah, I say man, bro,
Man, bro.
dude.
Whatever,
yeah,
man.
don't like those, man. I gotta.
Yeah.
I can't do it, bro. Right
You
now.
just said, you just said, bro.
I can't do it. I can't do it. You know, checking myself on that
You
is.
can do it. Don't say you can't do it.
Oh, I can't do it right now. It's already failed. You know, I have to check me next week. You know, I definitely did better because I was conscious of it. So I noticed that I was doing it. So I was like, I'm definitely stopping that. And some filler words here and there I could be definitely better with. A little bit of ums, a little bit of likes. That happens, bro.
On another note, yo, your arms popping. Your arms are popping. Pause.
This shirt is pulling.
Yeah, no, you been on your shit or
Look
what?
at that. Look at that. The shirt is cutting my circulation.
Yeah, but I'm saying you definitely look like you've been on your stuff.
I've been definitely trying to be on my stuff, bro. Going to Aruba, man. I'm going to Aruba with a 6-pack. That's a fact. That's a fact check. I'm going looking great, bro.
It's easy. I mean, it's simple. It's not easy. But
Yeah, simple in the sense of I know my problem is just eating sugars and stuff like that. So,
what you don't want to do to get a 6-pack.
exactly.
To an extent, people say like, I mean, people you can get a 6-pack and eat sugar.
Yeah, if you know your macros and stuff like that, but I know me, my sugar was in excess. So I'm like a couple weeks now with no sweetest thing I'm eating is fruit. So fruit and yeah, fruit, bro. My coffee creamer has very little. It's oat milk. And I use a dash, you know, just to get a flavor of it, you know, and that's sometimes. But my problem was late night eating, candy, sugars, pastries, cookies.
You know what's crazy? On the late night thing, I could literally.
I can go disgusting, bro.
I could eat, but I could like eat all my meals, like, and I could have like my last meal. Let's say I have like my last meal at 8 o'clock at night. Like, for example, last night, 8 o'clock before I left the house, I went to go hang with this chick. I ate my last meal. I'm like, all right, I'm good, whatever. And then I ended up not coming home till like 1. And like, I was like, for whatever reason, because it was late, instead of just going home and eating like some Greek yogurt and protein powder or whatever, I was like, because I was just like, you know, I'm getting McDonald's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for whatever,
Yeah.
it's just like psychologically, I'm just like, oh, it's late, it's 1 a.m., like, I'm about to get McDonald's.
It's a freaking addiction, man.
You know?
I've been pissed.
But if it was like 7 or 8 o'clock at night, like, I ain't getting it.
Yeah, you ain't getting it.
You know what I mean?
It's like late, it's the next day, it's easy, it's quick, it's here, I'm driving home. You could justify it all in a million different ways,
Yeah, it's
you
just
know?
funny, like,
It's such an addiction, bro. Like, I've never kicked sugar. This is the longest time I've been without sugar in my life, bro. And that's sad. I'm 34. 2 weeks is the longest I've
love
gone.
the candy and shit.
Bro, I love all that stuff, like, especially at night. Like, I eat all my food. And after every meal, I'm thinking about where the candy at.
You like the wax stuff, though.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't like no chocolate. I'm not a chocolate person. I like Reese's, but that wouldn't be my like thing.
Swedish fish.
Yeah, like stuff that I could eat like little
Sour,
pieces of it.
like,
Yeah,
I'm not with that.
Sour candy is the best candy in my opinion. Yeah, I love that stuff, bro.
Like airheads and shit.
I'm not
Just-
big
or warheads. You like warheads?
No, because I don't like hard candy like that. I like chewy candy that's sour. You
So
know,
Swedish fish is your go. If you
I
had one
like.
can, if you had one
Nah,
candy,
it would be like sour. It would be literally, bro. I literally had a dream last night of eating sour watermelon.
that would literally be
Sour,
like,
sour watermelon, Sour Patch Kids, bro. That would be like the one, bro. I love that stuff,
rather
bro.
go hungry
Yeah, not
than
me.
eat that.
Well, like that's the thing. Like I'm not even hungry to eat it. That's the thing. It's straight pure addiction.
I'm a
It's not
chocolate dude. I
hunger.
like chocolate.
I
Chocolate
mean,
and peanut butter.
I ain't gonna lie. Like, listen, you did like like a fudge cake at like at a restaurant. Anything with yeah, I'm with that. Like the lava cakes,
A fudge cake.
fudge cake, lava cakes. I'm eating that stuff, bro. Cheesecakes, I'm eating that. But
Yeah, if I'm not with
I'm
the
really
sour
trying to
shit.
check
And
it out of my mind, bro. I did it with fast food, bro. I'm gonna do it with sugar, bro. I'm gonna do it with sugar. You know, I'm just not gonna want it no more. Like after a certain point, you look at it and you gotta get mad at you deal with it all the time. You've done it much longer than me, bro. You've dieted, you do this all the time. So you really have disassociated with your mind. Even though you may do it sometimes, you're not happy about
not
it.
even diet. It's funny how we say dieting. Like I eat real food.
Yeah.
Like
But
people say, like,
they
you know what I
do.
mean? Like I
They
eat
do.
meat and
Yes.
like some starch and vegetables and like eggs and shit. Like,
Yes.
and people, it's funny how just like society, we consider that dieting.
We do. We consider
When, like,
healthy
I'm eating-
eating
yeah.
is like proper eating. We say that's dieting, you know? And that's the disassociation part where you're like, man, like the stuff that powers my body and makes me good, that's going to benefit all aspects of my life, that's eating. Shoot.
You eating candy and cakes like a child and shit.
Dieting is like the cakes
Yeah.
and the candies. That's dieting.
Because it's off the norm.
It's
yeah,
off the
like,
norm.
yeah.
We should start that, bro. We should make up a word for that.
Whack shit. Some fat bullshit.
Oh man, yeah. Systems of success, bro. See, I like saying bro. I don't know what it is, man. I've been saying that for years. That's good. I never thought I would have to break a word
Everybody
that
says
wasn't
bro,
a
dude.
curse.
Some of the most everybody says it.
I know, but it goes to like back to what we say. What is your successful person? My successful person ain't saying bro.
Then keep telling yourself
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
Keep telling yourself that.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like I can't. It just doesn't. It's not how I want.
Like in my mind, like maybe this is an interesting thought. Like in my mind, if you think about like the best version of yourself or like a successful version of yourself, in my mind, a successful version of me is in elite shape over having millions in the bank. Whereas like somebody else might be like millions in the bank with a not good physique. In my mind, like if I had to spit out a version of myself that was super successful, like
Yeah.
I would want the physique probably first.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I think actually, I think the same way. When I think of like my superhero version of me,
Dude.
I instantly think of the character and they're fit and they're ripped.
Yeah,
and then
dude.
the other stuff is there.
There's just something, and I'm not in like great shape. I look okay from where I've come from being a kid. Like, not to sound like super like Instagrammy or like more or like kind of cliche about it, but they're really, again, not that I'm like in some elite shape, but like there's really not, off the top of my head, not too many feelings that I could compare to like being able to like just like look at yourself bare bones with nothing on in the mirror and be proud of like how you look.
I mean, that's about all you got right there.
What I'm saying, yeah, like so it's just a good, that's why I feel like I would say that first. It's just there's just a different feeling just knowing that like you're just like, yeah, dude, like
Taking care of yourself.
yeah, like because nobody can do it for you. Like nobody, it's just like it's on you. So like to me that's just like,
Because like when you have the wealth without the health, you kind of like, if you're trying to impress people, I'm not saying this is a way to go about it, it tends to be more material things. Where like somebody who's got both, they kind of are like, I don't really care about the material thing. It's cool. But like they're kind of like it's a more well-rounded lifestyle overall. But like that's, but people who have like terminal illnesses, things that they can't physically get like that, that's where it separates from, it's not everything. Your mind is much more important than that. Because whether you look in the mirror or not, what if you're blind? Now what? I knew a blind guy that used to work out at the gym, who was fit, who looked great.
Yeah.
He worked out for a physique that he'd never see.
Yeah, so that's cool. So he was able to maybe, yeah, it's just the way. That's interesting.
That's what made him. That's what makes people, bro. Our minds. You know, you shouldn't need to see.
He was definitely getting a feeling from that.
Yeah, that's probably maximum. Yeah, that card is full.
Yeah, damn.
That's a good way to end it, though.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, you can close it out on your camera.
Yeah, dude. Episode 28. Staying consistent, man. I mean, some of you might be like, all right, well, you know, you might think that we talk about a lot of the same stuff. Well, that's because our general message and the things that we talk about is the same. And that was something I thought about, too. I was like, you know what, dude, like, at the end of the day, we're just being consistent. And then at the end of the day, consistency is what it takes. So, like,
It does.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, some of the shit might sound repetitive, but we showing up every week. Like, that's what it is.
Showing up every week. You go get something from it every week. You understand me?
Exactly.
You understand me?
Dreams and day jobs. Catch us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok while it's still there. Episode 28.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Definitely.